Hi, we're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and welcome to the Passionistas Project podcast. If you enjoyed listening to the show, please consider becoming a patron. Just a small donation of $1 a month can help us keep the project going, and you'll get rewards like buttons, access to premium content, and invites to Passionistas Project events. Today we're talking to Erika de Cruz. Not only is Erika a TV personality and inspirational speaker in the girl boss movement, but she's the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Passionistas, Tips, Tales, and Tweetables from Women Pursuing Their Dreams. And she's the creator of the personal development conference, Passion to Paycheck. So please welcome to the show, Erika de Cruz.
Thanks so much.
What are you most passionate about?
I would say I'm most passionate about my content, so my personal content. The messaging, the videos, and the mindset, theory, and philosophy that I put out across my channels. So Instagram, Instastory, Facebook, my newsletter, I've built a community. I'm most passionate about saying what there is to say, what is on my mind, what's going to help and be a contribution to the world inside of that platform. I'm passionate about it because it's also an everyday thing where if you get an idea, you're like, oh, that could be a nugget for my newsletter, or that could be a nugget for some of the work I put out via video. So I'm most passionate about that because books and events, they all come from the philosophy and the brand.
How does that passion relate to what you do for a living?
Well, the passion behind mindset theory, right? Like, what does it take to get past that fear, or to think positively, or to be this happy person that gets to manifest everything in the world that they've ever dreamt of, underlies my entire brand. So what I do for a living is I like to joke that I'm my best self for a living. So there's Erika de Cruz, and then there's a bunch of things underneath, which is Passionistas book, Passion and Paycheck event, Dear World community. And all of those stem from one philosophy, which is you can turn your daydream into a dream job. You can be thinking positively and mindfully and practice mental fitness the same way you can go to the gym to get physically fit. So that's really, I lived that. I took such pride in exploring that for myself, and that ultimately led me to leave. I started in broadcast in the corporate world, and I was a marketing director. To some, it's like the end of the road, but I was 22. And by really digging into myself and working on, the however many inches from ear to ear, I got to figure out, okay, is this what I'm passionate about? Do I want to start a brand? How do I have the bravery to start one? And it catalyzed me into pursuing my own personal brand. So now that's like my bread butter wheelhouse and fuels the other things that I do beneath that.
Tell us a little bit about that path. How did you get into marketing, and then how did you start your brand?
It started with me, the economy crash of 2009, basically lost everything that I knew to be normal. So my family, we were pretty, well off in the middle class. Our business that we owned for 26 years, everything collapsed. And I went back to my first year of college with nothing physically. All of our items got sold to the state of California. So they were being sold in various swap meets, and I had my 1993 Honda Accord and a will to go back to college. And the people I loved sort of dispersed into depression, or my mom into voluntary homelessness. It's the sort of thing you read about, and then you're stuck as a 19-year-old going, what's happening? It actually fueled me to know there's nothing else to lose. So I just started going for it. I knew I wanted to be in entertainment, and I felt like I had nothing to lose. So I started going out for all those internships, applying for scholarships at the time that would allow me to do all of the free stuff in entertainment, because it doesn't pay very well. So I put all my marbles into a scholarship that I got, and it allowed me to pursue anything that I wanted for the year. And I ended up getting an internship in radio, and I was on a morning show for a while. And then 2 weeks after I graduated college, what seemed like this dream job position opened up within the radio sphere. Twitter was hot. I knew Twitter. I was the millennial, and they were moving that direction. And I happen to have a business mindset as well. So I got the job. So I was the youngest ever marketing director at Entercom Broadcasting. And it was hard. There were like darts thrown, people quitting, people who had been there 50 years, and I just got there. It was like, there was a huge target on my back. I felt like a reality show contestant. People are like, she's too young, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And I sort of, it scarred, I had to get through that, because at first I was like, do I know what the hell I'm doing? But I was doing that for about 2 years, simultaneously on the air, and I realized I love being on the air. I love being in front of the camera. I love speaking my mind and having fun. I want to do this all day, but a lot of the marketing position stuff wasn't fueling my fire. So there was a point where I knew I was going to put in a 2 weeks notice after about 2.5 years. So I'd really made the contacts I needed to. I understood how the industry worked. And so I just started while I was in my 9-to-5. I'm like, I'm turning this day job into a dream job. Started utilizing a lot of the contacts, knowledge, things like that to put myself in the forefront of the company and offer, like, for myself to be hosting things like Fashion Week, a late night show. So I started pitching myself like a madwoman and landed a couple different things that set me up pretty nicely to go from the corporate world to quit, to still maintain this personal brand of me on the late night shows, hosting Fashion Week, and starting to put out these videos, these like inspirational videos. I started getting asked to speak places, and then that was sort of the bridge. I'm like, all right, I could do this. Shortly thereafter came this entire business coaching world that I got into, because doing what you love is one thing, but generating revenue from doing what you love, that's another beast, and that'll push you to your limits. So then I got into that, started with coaching programs and events and things that I do now to monetize my brand, and my social platforms are a part of that. So it's cool. You can kind of be yourself for a living, post on your social media, and then now that's got price tags attached to it, which is super cool.
So it's one thing to want to turn your own personal daydream into a dream job, but what made you want to help other people do that?
What makes me want to help other people to gain this mentality and this mindset of loving themselves, how are they relating to themselves, how are they treating themselves, are they living their best life, is because I found out really early on that most amazing ideas, the most incredible like pioneered thoughts out there end up in the graveyard because people do not act on them, they don't pursue them, and as a result, they have less quality lives. Their happiness and fulfillment and, the state of being in your lifetime, if you don't act on the things that you know you were put on this earth to do, is a subpar one. And I hear it all the time from clients and things like that. So I took so much joy and pride in being able to take that leap that I was like, how do I help other people take this leap? So what fuels me, and the reason I want to keep building what I have started, is contribution. I want to contribute to the world in a positive way such that people can have vulnerable conversations. They can talk about mental health. I'm a huge advocate of speaking about mental health, anxiety, depression, panic attacks. They don't look like that loser in the corner who's hovering back and forth. They look like you're overachievers and you're successful people getting overwhelmed in their daily lives. Sometimes it takes them out completely. And talking about that's going to make a huge difference in the world, because when I got to talk to someone about experiencing this anxiety or panic, and I realized, oh, other people I look up to went through this. Liz Hernandez, Kelty Knight in television, Tim Ferriss in personal development. That allowed me to exhale, to feel normal. And so now the more that I talk about it, I know that my audience is going to get to hear it too, and have some freedom open up in their own lives.
You've done that through your book and through your events. So talk a little bit about those.
One of the most fitting things about this is that you are the pop culture Passionistas, and I happen to have written a book called Passionistas, Tips, Tales, and Tweetables from Women Pursuing Their Dreams, and that was a huge one for me. I didn't write the book on my own. It is filled with stories from 30 other millennial boss babe, badass entrepreneurs and entertainers. So essentially my business partner now, Kyle Wilson, who was if you're familiar with Jim Rohn at all, my business partner was Jim's business partner for 18 years until he passed away. And he happened to see one of my speeches and said, you're young, this whole hashtag girl boss thing is in. I want to do something similar to the Chicken Soup books for millennial female entrepreneurs. And he, with Jack Canfield, they put together Chicken Soup for the Entrepreneur's Soul. So I was like the test dummy for something similar in this millennial world. And so he said, you're in charge of the branding and the girls. And I said, I've got the name. It's called Passionistas. It was one word I read in Marie Claire magazine when I was back in radio. And I knew I'm a passionista. I want to pursue my passion, do what I love, get paid for it. This is going to be the brand. And he loved it. And everyone else sort of hopped on board. And these girls told the stories that you can't find on their Instagram feeds. So on Instagram and in social media, everything looks freaking perfect. Like these influencers were carried on a cloud to success, and that's just not the case. Like every human being's been through something human. So the book was a chance for me to be able to arm the general public with a way to say like, oh, me too, and have this relatability inside the girls' stories. So we put that out, became a bestseller, which was fantastic. A bunch of doors opened up from it, and I became even more of, a figure, if you will. All of a sudden the emails started saying, will you speak a little bit about girl bossdom and feminism and all of these things? Like we have the Me Too movement now, and I find myself being sought after as a voice in that I didn't necessarily set out to do, but I'm about already empowered women empowering humanity. So there was the book, and then the event. The event was last year. Basically, I decided, all right, well, I'm in television and I love it. I look up to these badass anchors. Coincidentally, most of them are female. And I know there's a lot of young women in my space who would love to hear from them, who would love to hear about the vulnerable stories and career tips and tricks that they've used throughout their own. So I created Passion to Paycheck, and we just finished this April our second annual event, and it was great. We had double the first one. We were sold out at the Andaz West Hollywood. There's an official Instagram, which for me makes it, all right, now it's set in stone. There's an Instagram account. So yeah, that's going to continue to grow, and we just foster vulnerable, empowering conversations through that context, which is an in-person one.
How important do you think it is in today's social media landscape for you to share your personal experience to build your brand?
I love social media, and I've in the past spoken specifically on how millennials can use that to their advantage as tools and resources versus like letting it use you. I call it like the self-made millennial mentality, to use your social platforms to build the brands, businesses, and things that you want to put out into the world, and not mindlessly, without being aware of what you're doing, using the platform. So I think Instagram is extremely important. Not just Instagram, but whatever your platform of choice is, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, you name it. People now want to connect with brands in a way that's never been before. They want to see what you ate for breakfast, like how did you get to wear what you're wearing? Like, take us on a tour of the closet. And for me, I think that's the fun part. Like when you see someone on TV now, I immediately go to their social media handles and I think, what are they like in real life? And sometimes that's tricky because real life is really a dream life on social media accounts. So I think there's that media literacy that we need to have when we're consuming content. But as a brand, if you're trying to build something, it's invaluable to start putting your brand points and the things that you're about on social media, because now I don't even use LinkedIn. Like, truth be told, I love LinkedIn, great platform, but Twitter and Instagram have been my biggest game changers in terms of opportunity, because it acts as a resume. Like, if you think, where in the past you emailed a resume, maybe you sent it in, now millions of people can go access the best parts of you online. So this is a little harsh, but in some of my coaching for personal brands specifically, we do what I call a spring clean. Like, if you need to clean out your Instagram account of like I don't know, the cat photos or the blurry family photos even. Like, you have to make that sacrifice. I made that sacrifice for years. Now I can integrate a little more of it, but in the beginning, you can really imagine that you're teaching the general public who you are. So if cats aren't a part of your brand, the cats need to go, at least while you're educating the general public, because you'll start to hear back from your community first and then the public, things that you've taught them. So if I'm putting up every single day, posting entrepreneurship, maybe my fiance, people know about my relationship because we do a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts and things together, then that's what I'm hearing back and that's what I'm cultivating my brand as. However, if I filled it with, the cat photos or the selfies or just anything that came to mind, while it might be fun, I think people need to also have this awareness that what they're putting out online is going to be funneled back to them. It's just they're teaching their audience who they are, and people are learning regardless of if you're trying to teach them or not. So what are they learning about you? I think is the exciting part about getting to cultivate a social platform. I freaking love it. So if you're out there, come on and say hello. It's at _Erika Dela Cruz on all my platforms, and I think it's fun.
Do you have a secret to a rewarding life?
I think the secret to a rewarding life is not in doing, but in being. So I always have this motto of like, a to-do list is great, but if you have a to-be list, that's where the quality of your life comes from. So daily, I have an intention like peaceful, relaxed, and at ease. That might be my to-be list for the day. And I think that the secret to a rewarding life is your state of being on a daily basis, because that is what translates into your life fulfillment and to the reward that you feel. Because ultimately, we don't want $1 billion. We want to feel how we're going to feel having $1 billion. We want to be in the state of abundance and happiness and ease. So I think that before you get there, before you ever get to reach your dream goals, you need to figure out how it's going to feel having had them. And then reverse engineer that rewarding life and start feeling that way now. So feel the way that you're going to feel having, achieved that dream job, dream life, dream partner, whatever that looks like. If you're going to feel exuberant, excited, and the opposite of worried, basically, then try feeling that daily. And all of a sudden, the rewarding life doesn't come at the end of the tunnel, it's daily. And then you're manifesting things that line up with that state of being. And so that is what I feel the key is. What I'm finding transparently is, wow, if I feel relaxed and happy, which I'm really good at feeling daily, sometimes that monkey mind creeps in and is like, well, what if I'm not doing enough if I feel the way I've felt, if I feel so satisfied right now? I think I don't know if that's a millennial trap, a high achiever trap, but often people think that anxiety and worry is going to drive you to do more and push harder. But I think the rewarding life comes in how you're feeling, and you feel like shit, frankly, when you put all of that pressure on yourself. So it's a beautiful balancing act that I'm in the discovery of. I'm like, well, can I truly feel this happy and know that things are coming to me? And I think the answer is yes. But as a human being, daily, you're like, if I feel happy and satisfied, is this the end of the road for me? Maybe nothing else is coming. And those are, I guess, just the human mind to master, which is the fun part. I'll let you know when I get there.
We're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and you're listening to the Passionistas Project podcast and our interview with Erika Dela Cruz, TV personality, inspirational speaker, and creator of the personal development conference, Passion to Paycheck. To find out more about Erika and her projects, follow her on Instagram at _Erika Dela Cruz. If you're enjoying this episode of the podcast, please be sure to like and comment on your podcast platform. Now here's more of our conversation with Erika.
Is there something professionally that you consider your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome that?
One of the things you have to overcome when you're starting your own business or your brand is that no one's heard of you, right? So that professionally is a setback. If you're L'Oreal or Neutrogena or Taco Bell, whatever, if you're a household name, you don't have, I believe, as much trouble. Your name speaks for itself. So gaining recognition in your industry is a hurdle that I faced personally, and one of the ways and tricks that I always share with my clients or audience or anyone who I'm around who's really interested in this subject is getting into your niche or your industry, finding the press and media outlets or hot spots, if you will, for the people that you're trying to reach, and getting features, even if it's small features, baby features. That's how I overcame the name recognition, is reaching out to Career Contessa, I'm a Girl Boss, all these publications that might not have the hugest reach, but I know as they grow, if I'm on their docket, I'm going to grow and people are going to access my interviews and what I have to say. And then strategically, I would take those interviews and press clips and media and I would put them on my own social media tabloids so that my direct community could also start seeing, oh, she's known, she's recognized, she's being shouted by a third party. And that says a lot. People think that the way you're perceived doesn't matter. No, that's the opposite. If you're trying to create something personally that sticks in your niche or in your industry, it really matters how people perceive your credibility. And so I got through that by gaining all this press and media. And this is really tactical, but if someone's interested in this, they're gonna wanna know, creating little media decks that you could send in an email, put in your email signature, press pages on your website that quickly feature like Huffington Post, Marie Claire, ABC, like my favorites, that you're able to send to someone will automatically gain that, maybe that credibility and that credible source that people don't automatically associate with you if they're just seeing your name for the first time. So professionally, it's difficult. There's a lot of noise out there. So you need to have the confidence to say, this is what I've done, this is what I'm about, feature me, feature me, feature me, and then repurpose those features for partners. Partner with me, partner with me, partner with me, or be my client, pay me, pay me, pay me. Whatever is gonna add to your repertoire, you need to build yourself up, because people think that once you get to a certain level, the Today Show is gonna call. And the Today Show, I have news for you, I have girlfriends who are all over the Today Show. That clout lasts 2 days. And unless they're out there getting the press and media first, the Today Show is not going to wanna call. So people think like, I'll just do my thing until the big dogs come and knock at my door. And apart from going viral, which there's tons of media on the whole 1 month of fame that you get from that, if you're building a legacy, you have to start building even the press and media and interview type things on your own. And I'll close by, I love that, I'm so passionate about it, that the way I was introduced to you beautiful ladies and this beautiful brand is that my other half, my fiance, knows that I'm all about interviews and I love sharing this in the world. So he knew that when he came across this and there was this little nominate button, he said, why don't I nominate her? And that's only because I've been so vocal and active in the press and media world. And so instead of saying like, oh, that's cool, my fiance does something similar, all of a sudden you have an army of people in your community out there nominating you because you've already claimed it.
What's the most rewarding part of what you do?
The most rewarding part of what I do is getting the feedback back once someone's moved, inspired, have done things they didn't think that they could do otherwise. The lifeblood that keeps me going and keeps me thinking, oh, what can I do now? Or what can I add on to Passion to Paycheck? Are the notes from my audience, like the notes from my team members even, the notes from the other people that I'm impacting about them having discovered something that before was inaccessible to them, or reading the book and finding that one Passionista's story spoke volumes to their own. That's it. On a large scale, as long as I can leave the world better than when I arrived here, I'm done. I'm done. And so gauging that is like, how can I leave rooms better? How can I leave the internet better? Really, how can I leave everyone better than when I first sort of arrived here? And one of the big nods to that was the book. Although it was published, a year and a half ago, people are still donating this book, and most recently to a women's prison, and they developed an entire curriculum around women in the prison being able to obtain their GEDs. And at the end, not only do they graduate, but they receive the Passionistas book, and enrollment increased by 200%. We just got this huge, incredible video from the woman running the program saying thank you for all the donations. And I was like, I was a mess. I was crying because that's the kind of impact that I want to have. And I will add, you cannot have that impact alone. Like, my Passion to Paycheck team is single-handedly the most precious thing to me, because they provide the most valuable form of marketing you'll ever have, which is word of mouth. If they're taking care of and building something that came from my little empire I wanted to build, like, that is the way to build a team around you so that you can truly be the epitome of an entrepreneur, showing up, doing the things you love, but having systems around you and conversations that aid and contribute to what you're building. So them having those conversations, the women in the prison, the fact that the book's not only authored by me, I have 30 other women going out to promote this brand, can't do it alone. And like, if you are doing it alone, come talk to me, because the quality of life, back to that rewarding feeling, might not be there. And it might be because you need your people, you need a team, you need a community. So yeah, come on over.
Looking back at what you've achieved so far, is there one thing you can look back at and say, that was really courageous, and by doing it, it changed the path I'm on?
I used to joke that I'm an extrovert who's afraid of people, and that's changed over the last 2 years. But 2 years ago, I had this social anxiety, and I didn't know where it came from, but I was honestly fine. It took a little bit to get on stages, to write books and do videos, and it was brave, but ultimately the thing that took the most courage for me was putting the business component into my brand. And I did that by hiring this business coach that at the time, oh my God, at the time I took out a credit card to hire him, but I knew that I was aligned with his way of thinking, and I wanted to learn the art of tactful, soulful enrollment, and not just like slimy sales. And he did that by having this, you got to have some big balls to get on the phone one-on-one with someone to sell them a high-end program. And that's what I started doing, is having the courage to message one person, get on the phone with one person, have these hour calls about their life, and then believe in myself enough to know that what I have developed, the philosophy and the methods that I've developed, are going to help you. And I am asking you to hire me as your coach. Like, that gave me the most confidence, and it was the scariest shit I've ever done, to be honest. Like, it's scary to call a person, especially one you've known for a long time, and be honest and say, I think I can help you, or I know you've been complaining about X, Y, and Z, and I've got something to take you to the next level. So I've done a lot of big and outward things, but I think that tiny little business model of one-on-one conversations took the most courage for me personally. And I had hundreds of those. And I will tell you, I made back everything that I paid that business coach in the first month, and enjoyed an entire year of that coaching. Now I'm more so events, me one-to-many, and not necessarily one-to-one, but it took a lot of bravery for me to go there. So I'd say I'm pretty proud to have bit the bullet and taken that leap.
What's your definition of success?
My definition of success is being able to look at your day-to-day life. So it's not really one or two big achievements in your lifetime, but taking an average day out of your week, a weekday where nothing special is really going on, but being able to say that that's the life that I wanted to create. I wanted to wake up, I wanted to eat this, I wanted to see these people, have these things going on in my life, and to sort of be able to take a sample of what an average day looks like for you, and to be able to say, I am so fulfilled within an average day. I'm coming home to the person I love, I'm making dinner, I went on a few media interviews, maybe I spoke at lunchtime, and I always say this to the people that are in my life, and that I do seminars for as well, is create what your perfect day looks like. Like, what does that everyday perfect day look like? And of course, they're not all gonna turn out that way, but then you have an aim for a quality life and not a quality goal. So my definition of success are the days where you don't have the Emmys, the days where you don't have the Oscars, but you're still able to say, like, I am creating my life by design. Like, I have people who love me, woke up, had my coffee, my gratitude exercise, and it was just perfect.
Thanks for listening to the Passionistas Project podcast and our interview with TV personality, inspirational speaker, and creator of the personal development conference Passion to Paycheck, Erika de Cruz. To find out more about Erika and her projects, follow her on Instagram at _Erika de Cruz. And be sure to subscribe to the Passionistas Project podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming inspiring guests.